Hello and welcome to Talking Books. I'm Jill de Villiers. Today, Joe Public United is ranked as one of the top independent and fastest growing South African advertising groups, with numerous important awards recognizing its creative achievements. It started small and followed a journey of ups and downs before it achieved this level of stardom. My guest is Pepe Marais, the founding partner and Group Chief Creative Officer of Joe Public United, and he is here to talk about his book, Growing Greatness, A Journey Towards Personal and Business Mastery. Welcome, Pepe. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Your book is quite thick. It is 366 pages of very well written prose and a very good storyline running through it. So it's great fun to read. You just don't want to put it down. It's divided into three parts.
Yes.
The first part is about your early days. The second part is about founding Joe Public. And the third part is about growing. And I want to jump right into the third part, if you don't mind.
No problem.
In the third part, you started off with a quote from Steve Jobs, where he said that one can only connect the dots when you look back at your life. And you, in this book, you look back at your life and you do connect the dots here as well. And you say the worst thing that can happen to you is also the best thing that can happen to you. Can you give me some examples of that?
I live by it. And I connected that dot quite soon in my life. So what I found was when, and it's I don't want to say it's sweet, but I brought in things like from my high school sweetheart who I end up marrying. So my first little insight there was she broke up with me at the end of matric. I went to the army and I wanted to get my girlfriend back, and she left me for a guy who could play guitar, so I learned to play guitar. Now, music unlocked 16 years of like a side of me that I would never have been aware of if that didn't happen. So that broken heart, which in the moment felt like the worst thing that can happen, transformed into the most spectacular 16 years of doing music. That was the first one. Then when I keep on looking at these things through reflecting, through writing the book, and I realized losing our biggest client in 2006, retrenching 38 people overnight, like horrific experience in the moment when you're dealing with people's livelihoods. And of course in that moment, the worst thing that could ever happen in our careers, but then realizing, but hang on, the business devaluing, maybe we can buy ourselves back. If it wasn't for that moment, then we wouldn't have Joe Public in its current form today. So another example, even our country, and I don't say it lightly, but it is incredible that something as terrible as apartheid can actually create something called the new South Africa. And of course there's struggles, but I mean, the economy has factually doubled since the old South Africa, you know. So, and there's many more. And nowadays when things happen and when they don't feel comfortable, at least I don't feel any better for them happening, but I intuitively know, ooh, something's coming. Something great's coming.
That's fantastic. So just for people who don't know,
yes.
You say buy your company back.
Yeah.
You started off very small in Cape Town with your boutique agency.
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit about the journey of from that point where you worked very creatively to where you became part of a bigger American company.
So that idea, and it's so interesting about ideas, that when they are powerful, they drive you to do stuff you'd never imagine. So the idea of takeaway advertising, having a menu that said rare, medium, well done with price points, that's never been done before. So that excited us, went into action with absolutely nothing, started with not a cent, borrowed a computer and started that little business, and did phenomenal work in the first 2-3 years for very tiny clients, but spectacular, at the level of the greater agencies back then. Then were approached by an American organization, advertising group network, who bought us. Now, there wasn't a lot of money, but we sold because we could have an office in New York, which my mum would be so proud, because at that stage she was, ooh, you're starting your own thing, you left the big agencies, what's going to happen? Did that. And then suddenly when we were in that motion, realized now suddenly the guys wanted us to make money. And all the focus, where for us focus was on great product and great service to our clients and doing just our utmost best, and the money comes naturally. It changed overnight into money focus, and over a period of 8 years, the business just flatlined and then just started going down. And that led to it culminated in losing that client because there was a merger through the group, and going back to rock bottom and using the opportunity to get the business back, start from scratch and build it to what it is today.
But also you had to go through a very difficult personal journey. I'd like to jump now to that personal journey of yours and defining what your purpose is and how important it is to define your purpose. And just after that, I'd like to talk about the purpose of your business. So if you could talk about your purpose and your one-word definition. Okay.
I mean, it's fascinating. And I'm starting to feel now, because I enjoyed this experience so much, I had no ambition to ever be an author. I also know this took me 1,000 hours, so I have to do 9 more before I'm a proper author. So I might try my hand at one again in about 2 years' time. And already there's things coming to me, just not my own ideas, just content coming to me. And I know now that 1 in 50 people, when they have new learning, will really go, wow, that's amazing. But only 1 in 50 of that 1 in 50 will apply that knowledge rigorously. So that's 1 in 2,500. And somehow I'm one of the 2,500 people because I had knowledge that was given to me. I was rock bottom. Business was falling apart. Marriage was not falling apart, but it was not a pleasant relationship. My wife, today we're still together. She would vouch for it. We had no relationship by comparison to today. I was unhealthy. I was drinking. I was working extremely hard, but we were partying hard. It was and I was very much in service of myself. I came from a poor background, relatively poor, maybe not poverty, but not substantially, not like the normal middle market of old South Africa. And I wanted to be rich, so everything was to me about money, money, money. And I think it started with a business dropping down, because I kind of defined myself by the business. It wasn't even my own business, but the perception of it was amazing. And I just I went on a course, which I also spoke about in the book. And I was meant to be one of those 1 in 50s that really took this thing to heart. And then when I went back into life after this workshop, I applied the learning. And it was this notion of having one word, each human being within you, that you really stand for. Like almost an ultimate value that you value most in life. My own methodology that I put on top of it was actually defining that word, because I then started realizing one word has got so many different meanings. So I actually I'll give myself credit for building on top of that another notion, and that's what I put in the book, and I applied it to my life, and my life spectacularly changed overnight.
So, and as well, your business also spectacular. Oh, but before we get to that, what is your word?
So my word, and it's so insightful, it's greatness is my word. And at face value, at first I thought my word is greater than any other word. But today I know profoundly that greatness is equal to love, is equal to happiness, is equal to joy, is equal to success, is equal, it's whatever those words are, they're equal. My definition though is to bring out the best in those around me. And I've learned the only way to do it is to bring out the best in myself. So everything starts with myself, but everything that I do is defined around being the best that I can be. And in doing that, hopefully inspire a few people or more to be better.
Now, in the book, you also write that you had a social phobia and that you couldn't speak in public. You had a major problem speaking in public. And look at you now, you're doing public speaking, you're doing courses, you're sitting here on television. Is this what helped you overcome that?
So it's quite contradictory, because 21st century sort of growing of people philosophy says focus on your strengths. And it's one I struggle with, because that was a true weakness. I mean, you saw in the book, completely blocking up, breaking up in sweats, that the sweat's running down my face. Now that, in a leadership position, is the worst place to be, because immediately in your mind you're thinking everyone's looking at me going, what's wrong with this person? I mean, a client drying the sweat on my forehead, taking a hanky out of her, it's like embarrassing. That's where I was. It's interesting, the purpose, finding my purpose was not the only, it started pointing me, it started opening my mind that there's so much more knowledge, because that workshop was super alternative. I mean, you have to film, if you had to take a video out of context that's going down there, you'd go, ooh, there's something wrong here. When you're in it and you understand the methodology, it's brilliant. Anyone who doesn't finish those workshops will say that's a cult. Anyone who does it will go, that's practical logic. But it opened my mind to alternative pathways to finding more knowledge and new knowledge. And through a lot of different processes, I realized that the social phobia is actually the greatest gift I've ever had, because it keeps me really grounded, it keeps me humble. It makes me have a lot of empathy and compassion with corporate leaders. I say in the book, I've shaken quite a few hands that I can feel are wet, and I know that they're struggling with something, whatever that struggle is, and it gives me empathy. And I think it gave me empathy with myself, and somehow it's dropped out. It's not gone. Like coming to see you today, I'm still a bit like a butterfly, but it's good. It keeps me real and authentic, and it keeps me away from maybe being too egotistical.
And now the business, we're almost at the end of the show, but I'd like to look at purpose, finding the purpose of your business, and then discovering that all of a sudden exponential growth happened to your business unexpectedly, just purely by finding the right purpose for the business.
It's that, if I could have set it in 200 points in the middle of the book, that is the essence of the book. For business, in this world we live in, to find purpose, to me, would be the most value we can add to the planet and to its people. Unfortunately, it's not present, because we've put the bottom line at the top of our focus in all businesses. It's all about money and shareholder returns. And I want to put on the table a new way. And I'm going to use money to at least plant the seed. Our business, in a very flat economy, since 2010, since putting one word at the core of the business and building everything around that philosophy, our business has grown 48% compounded year on year. That's more value created than Capitec on the JSE. But it's not about the money, it's about the purpose. And I'm trying to sell that purpose through this book. So yes, Tracy, I hope for her sake we do get a return on our investment. I don't have to make money out of the book, but I would like it to get it into as many hands as possible, to say there is a new way if we open our minds to it.
It's certainly well worth reading, and I would really highly recommend it, because you also talk about conscious business in here, and the importance of a bigger purpose, not just the purpose of yourself, but being a conscious company and giving back to your community. And you also have CSI projects that you do, like one school at a time and so on. But thank you so very, very much for coming in and chatting to us about this. And I wish you well with the book. I wish you the greatest success for it. And it's called Growing Greatness, A Journey Towards Personal and Business Mastery. And my guest is Pepe Marais. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.